Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Folding Towels podcast with Jackie and David.
Hello everyone, welcome.
Can you tell that I'm excited about today's episode?
Yes, I can, and I'm slightly concerned. What are we talking about today, David?
It's a fantastic episode today. It's the 3 policies that you need in your practice right now.
Yeah, as I said, concerned. We know that you love policies already. I get it. And I'm actually glad that you do because I don't. So, yeah.
I once saw this jumper that said, policy is my love language, and I want to get it. I actually don't love policies that much, but I have been around long enough to value when policies are actually in place and to see firsthand what happens when an organization doesn't have anything in place. Yeah. So spoiler alert, it usually doesn't end well. It can cost a lot of money and sometimes people go to prison.
Yeah, this is so true. It's vital to have some of these things. And I am sitting here like, oh man, I don't even want to talk about this, let alone action any of it. So if you're having that same reaction, bear with us.
Yeah.
We'll try to make this easy. We'll try.
Yeah. We are going to make it easy and we'll talk you through that. But first of all, let's just crack on with what is a policy. And a policy is simply a position and a commitment on something. It's like a set of rules that then guides you about how and why you might be doing something. So policies are there to guide you in decision making and help you to make those decisions consistently.
So that's different to a procedure.
It is indeed.
So a procedure is something that you do or follow.
It's a set of steps, and the procedure is just based on the principles of a policy and outlines the steps that you need to take consistently to implement specific areas of that policy. For example, if you have a OHS policy or WHS policy, which you are required to have by law.
So that's work health and safety or occupational health and safety.
Yep, that's correct. You're required to have a WHS policy by law. Then one of your procedures might be about, say, safe handling of sharps if you do dry needling.
This is actually a really good example because there are actually like council regulations around sharps and dry needling does come under that.
Yes, it's part of the Health Act, which is administered by your council. And if you have staff, for example, and your clinic works with children, then maybe you'll have some procedures around recruitment that upholds your values for safeguarding children.
This is such an important topic, and I'm probably going to come across as like, oh my God, I don't want to talk about this for the whole episode, so I apologize in advance. But it is really important, and they actually don't teach enough about policies and procedures at either certificate or diploma level. And I reckon that a lot of people just don't understand that they have a lot of responsibilities to actually have these policies and procedures. They think they don't apply to them, or they just don't have them because they don't know where to start. And I'll admit, like, it can be overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming.
It can be a lot.
Yeah. Particularly when you have, say, government bodies smacking their hand on a book saying you must comply, and then you go to read whatever that is, and it's just written in technical jargon or lawyer speak. That's not fair.
It's practically another language, and for most of us, we don't have that background or educational expertise that can understand that. Like, we just have no idea.
But before we go any further, if you do work in a practice that doesn't have a policy and procedures manual in place, this is a dangerous practice. The owner or owners of that practice are wide open in the event that something happens, and God forbid that it ever does. And I think a lot of people pray that nothing happens in their practice. The reality is that something probably will one day. If you're a contractor working in someone else's practice, a condition of your contract is usually that you'll have to abide by the principles and policies and practices. And it is your duty to read them, to understand them, and to follow them. Or if you're just starting out in your own little business and are freaking out a little bit, guess what? Your association usually has templates in place that you can follow and adopt. And usually the administrative staff, you can lean on them for assistance in writing those policies. Because while it looks like a massive undertaking, if you're just committed to writing, say, one policy a month, and they don't have to be long, you'll have a full policy manual in a year.
Yeah.
I saw the rolled eyes.
I have a little story about this topic. Again, going back to a previous job that I had, I actually worked for a petrol station company. I worked for Mobil many years ago, and they had anyone who was alive in the 80s will probably remember they had a very shite safety record. We will not go into that. However,
Son Valdez.
Hello. That's the one. Anyway, amongst other things. Anyway, here in little old Adelaide, I worked for Mobil, and they had folders of policies and procedures, and they had changed their attitude to try and rectify their not so great image, I imagine, and cut down on potential lawsuits and what have you. As an employee, we were told basically on the first day, here's the policy manual, here's all the procedures manual. And there were quite a few because there's quite a large risk, I guess, of when you're working at a petrol station, because you've got, cars going everywhere, shops usually open 24/7, things like that. And we were literally told, like, okay, here's the procedures. If anything happens, you go to the procedure manual, you read the thing, and you look at it. And they were so good. Like, it was so great working there for them that, we were told, all of the staff, everyone there was like, if you don't feel safe doing something, you don't do it. And they were like, the procedures are here, everything's written down. Anytime there's a spill of any description, if somebody falls, if there's an accident, if this happens, because the risk of a lot of that stuff was very high in that working environment, and they were amazing. And I got told so many times the few months that I was working there that, if you feel unsure about anything, go to the procedures manual, have a look, follow the procedures. If you need assistance, ask for assistance. If you feel unsafe doing something, you let them know. And they were fantastic about that. That was actually one of the better jobs that I've had.
Procedure manuals usually get written one mistake at a time. And that's not supposed to sound bad. There's lots of things that happen that you can't preempt. Something happens, I haven't thought about this, but this is how I responded. Write it down. You've now got a procedure.
Excellent. Yeah. It doesn't have to be super hard. As David said, if you're just doing one policy or procedure a month, at the end of a year, you'll basically have all your policies and procedures done.
As a micro business, your manual will probably be pretty small. If you are a large, busy practice with lots of different modalities, maybe there's stock being sold, maybe there's high turnover, then your procedure manual it'll simply be larger.
Yeah.
So why do you need to have a policy and procedure manual at all? And there's 4 reasons which I want to give you. And the first is that there's some policies that you have to have by law. And if you don't know that, ignorance within the wording of the law, that ignorance is not a valid excuse. It's your responsibility to know what your responsibilities are and to actively find those things out. And the second reason is that you have policies in place to help to prevent things, to help prevent things from going wrong, and to guide you to things going right. And to do this, we need policies to help us to make decisions consistently and fairly, and then to reference and follow when things go wrong. And we'll talk about one of those things a little bit later. The third is that, particularly if you have staff, it is their responsibility to understand and adhere to your expectations. If you have not written your expectations down, they will just never know. So you can guide them towards greatness using your policies. And if you ever have to correct someone, you can also guide them using your policies. And if you ever want to sell your business, your policy and your procedure manual is one of those key documents that you'll pass over as part of the sale because it sets your vision and values, because all the processes are in place and it makes your business very attractive to a buyer.
A really common thought that a lot of people have is that policies have to be written like a lawyer's document and that they need to be long and super comprehensive, whereas it's really just not the case. A lot of policies can be written on a single page. You don't have to write them in lawyer speak. You can write them in plain English. You just need to make sure that you're keeping it legal. You don't want to add things that aren't legal.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest mistakes I've seen in businesses is that they prepare these massive policy documents that are really comprehensive and complex. And there was one charity that I worked with, the OH policy alone was 60 pages long and written in very technical language.
That's horrific.
It's disgusting.
No one's going to read that.
And that's what happened. No one would read it because it was so big. And
that's a whole novel.
And the danger here is that no reasonable person can be expected to understand or remember anything that's in that policy, let alone the entire policy manual.
So once you've actually got all of your policies and procedures written, it's time to review them every 12 months. And so that might just be reading through everything, making sure you've got everything covered. If any incidents have happened, if anything's changed in your workplace, you might need to change those things or add in a new procedure. If you've got staff, it's a really good idea to consult with them on any changes. If anything's happened with your staff, have a bit of a meeting or an email. Change out the bits that you don't like, and then let your staff know about those changes. Keep on top of it, basically.
So we're going to get stuck into the policies that you absolutely must have. Just 3 of them.
Only 3?
Only 3.
Okay.
It does get more, as I said, it gets more complex the bigger you are.
So this is a legal thing, right? Like we are legally obliged to have these 3 documents.
Well, the first 2 you're legally obliged to. And the other one, kind of optional, but if you want to use it, you have to have it.
Okay. So 2 legal documents. Gotcha.
So the first one is your work, health and safety policy. It's written into legislation that every workplace, every business, anyone undertaking a business needs to have a written work, health and safety policy. And really, who wouldn't? This is your commitment to you being safe in your workplace. So you're a staff member in your own business. If you have staff, it's your commitment and their commitment to being and feeling safe. And it's also for anyone who visits your business, but whether it's a client, a contractor, or say the person who services your massage table, you commit to them being safe in your workplace. Now, this could be an environmental safety thing, like slips and trips and those types of hazards. It could be your commitment to, say, bullying and harassment. It could be around working in isolation. If you expect a solo practitioner to be in a workspace on their own, and particularly if that's at night. And it also needs to set out how you record and report if there is an incident. So this policy, it identifies what are some of the risks and what are hazards, and they are 2 different things. It also defines what is your appetite for that risk, and risk isn't a bad thing. I'll give an example about when I worked in a council with playgrounds. Our risk appetite included accepting that a child will probably break their arm swinging on monkey bars. That's fine. But a child becoming trapped by their head or losing a finger in the chain of a swing, those were completely unacceptable risks.
I did try and make a joke there, I'm sorry, but it was kind of funny. I actually really love talking about risk management because I think this is something that is easy to learn and is not talked about enough. And I'll use the example that I got, and this is why I love talking about it, when I referenced that job that I had before working for a petrol station. What is the biggest risk in the petrol station? A lot of people are going to say, oh, if you get held up at gunpoint. Okay, that's a big risk. Like, it is a risk there.
You sell explosives.
What? Explosive.
Fuel.
Well, the actual biggest risk if you do a risk management assessment is being run over by a car. Because cars are in and out of the driveway constantly. Like, that's where your customers are coming from. They're driving up, putting their petrol in, driving off. And then if you have to go outside, the potential for you to be hit is constant. So, yes, there is a risk of explosion, if something goes wrong, and we've all seen videos of petrol stations exploding here and there.
Particularly in movies.
In movies, yes. I don't think that risk is as big as it is. But, if everyone's abiding by the laws, driving safely, not trailing cans of petrol out of the back of their car just willy-nilly and, if everyone's generally being safe, that risk is actually really minimal. Like, it's really low compared to being hit by a car. So when you think about something like that, you start to assess risks. It's a really interesting conversation.
Well, the two words we use is likelihood and consequence.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of that actually happening? At, gunpoint, particularly here in Australia, probably pretty low.
It's fairly low.
Consequence is pretty high.
Yeah.
Likelihood is low.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go to execute your job and you're just putting out a sign and you get hit by a moving car.
Yeah.
Likelihood.
Yeah.
Moderate. High. Consequence.
Well, it was
pretty
in
high.
a petrol station. It's high because the cars are in and out constantly, and the second you step foot out of the doorway, they're there. And if you have to go outside to do your checks and things on the Bowsers and whatnot, and that's something that has to be done. But the risk, even just from parking your car and then walking in to work, like, the cars are coming around, like.
I remember at massage school sitting in the work health and safety lecture and they're saying, okay, we're going to talk about work health and safety. Test and tag, everyone. And I don't remember much else because they didn't speak about much else.
Oh, no.
And you need to put a lens on your practice and think about where you are. So working in isolation might be one of those things. Maybe you work with elderly people and you have to help them get on and off the table. Now you're talking about lifting people. An electric table might make sure you've got an electrical cord sticking out somewhere. If you do something like lomi massage and you use a lot of oil, then maybe there is a slip hazard. Maybe you're going into hazardous workplaces. And this is where you need to look at the functions of your business. And having the procedures around safety is important. And it could be like opening and closing the business. If someone has to arrive really early or they're working late and they're by themselves, step 1, unlock the door. Step 2, step inside. Step 3, lock the door behind you. Then you can turn on the light, turn on the air conditioner, turn on the things.
I just realised, David, I have that policy written. I have that procedure. I have that down. I've got that one. Yeah.
Yep.
Just realised.
And if you practice dry needling, for example, having a safe handling of sharps procedure and how you respond if you're pricked by a sharp. And we've talked in another episode about bodily functions.
Unfortunately.
There could legitimately be a blood spill in your practice, or someone has a wet fart. Someone vomits. You're now handling infectious material, and you need to have a procedure for that. So you write these procedures down, and when that person does vomit on the floor, you don't need to think about it. You grab the procedure manual, you open the correct page, and you follow the steps. And one of those steps just might be call for help.
That kind of sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's not really. It's just thinking about things, I think, and then taking steps. It's just step by step by step. Let's do one thing, let's do another thing, and then let's write about this third thing. Yeah.
And I've been on duty at an event where someone did get pricked by a needle, and the panic that ensues from both the person who is injured and from responders going, I don't know what to do. Grab the manual. Grab the manual.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. We're going to move on from safety.
Let's talk about everybody's favorite, a privacy policy. And this is one that's required by law, right?
Yes, it is.
We need to have a privacy policy as a business under law, but also because we are holding health information and personal information about people.
So the rules around having a privacy policy, if you took the bigger lens and looked at, do you have to have a privacy policy? Generally in business, not unless your turnover is over $3 million, but even still it's good to have one as a general rule. But the moment you are a health-focused business and you hold health information, you must also have a privacy policy that meets Australian law. So there's two aspects to this. And the first is that you need to have a policy that your clients are allowed to ask for and see. And that policy needs to state what information you collect, why you collect it, how you store that data, how long you're going to store it for, why you need to store it for that long, and the circumstances by which you are lawfully obliged to share that information.
I'm just going to reiterate here that, as we said previously, a lot of associations have templates that you can use. And there are some businesses where you can buy templates or get help with this.
Yes.
So please don't be overwhelmed.
Yes. It's one thing to have the policy in place, but you also then need to implement the findings of it. But yes, lean on that association, get that template for free.
For free, yes.
Or get some professional advice. You don't have to write it yourself.
Yeah, there are businesses that that do this sort of thing for other businesses. They write all these policies and they can help you write up procedure manuals and stuff. So, yeah, please don't be overwhelmed.
And the years of 2022, 2023 were really cracking examples around super sensitive information becoming publicly available, like with Medibank and some hospitals who've been hacked.
There were about, there was probably more, but I can remember about 6 or 7 different businesses that had their data hacked in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
There was tons. I'm pretty sure every single massage therapist in the country was affected between bank breaches, Medibank,
Optus.
Optus. There was so many.
Yeah. And we are dealing with sensitive information. So one of the procedures you need to have in place is a consent form for the release of information. So WorkCover, for example, might request all of your treatment notes for a client. And usually if you're accepting someone for a workplace injury, they would come with a consent form signed by the client and signed by the workplace saying at some point in time, I'm going to ask for a report. If you don't have that in place, you need to challenge that request for information. Say, I'm sorry, I'm going to get the consent of I'm not sorry. I'm going to get the consent of my client before I release that information to you. They can try to bully, but they don't have a lawful leg to stand on in that case.
It's kind of like the client has to know what's going on. All right?
Information.
It's their information.
It's personal.
Yeah. So you have to speak with them.
Yeah, it's
beforehand.
Privileged information.
Yeah.
But you also need to have procedure around what happens if there is a data breach. Now, that could look different to different practices. If you're paper-based, let's just say someone breaks into your practice and gets through that door, gets into your filing cabinet and steals the paper records. They've got names, addresses, phone numbers, next of kin, health information, which can be used to impersonate and for other nefarious things. Or if they hack into your client management system, there's a lot of information there that can be taken, which if you're storing credit card details, for example, for payments, that's a bit of a whoopsie.
I'm feeling quite anxious right now, David. That is scary. I would say, again, it's the risk of that is reasonably low, but again, big consequences.
Yeah, I think it's pretty higher than we give it credit to as well.
Okay, I'm trying to talk myself down off a ledge here.
Yeah, just because you're small, it's not going to happen to you. Is I think what we lean on, but
Yeah.
that's something
Well, we
prepared to
think
gamble
about
with.
that a lot, don't we? Oh, it's not going to happen to me. It'll happen to somebody else. That's the default setting for humanity, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah. Now, the second part of the privacy one is around online privacy. And again, there's really good templates out there that you can just borrow and implement. Keyword here being implement. So if you have a website which has, say, a Facebook pixel or Google Analytics, for example, or cookies, or maybe you've got a newsletter sign-up form, then you need to have a privacy policy about how you manage, store, and use that information. It's also more likely that your social media or email newsletter system will get hacked than a proper, robust practice management system.
Okay, so there could be a whole bunch of policies here that might be applicable to you. For example, if you're working with children or the elderly or vulnerable people, you need policies and practices in place. If you're an employer, there's a whole bunch of policies that you will need, probably about recruitment, performance management, uniforms, drugs and alcohol, all that sort of stuff. If you're doing mobile massage and you're going into secure facilities, then maybe something about background screening. If you have procedures around storage of chemicals, what do you do if you have someone that is verbally or physically abusive? Do you need a procedure around a potential bomb threat? This is getting very in-depth, David. I'm a bit scared. I don't think we need to start there, though. I think
If
with
someone made a bomb threat over the phone to me, I'd probably hang up.
I would say probably that and a panic attack. Yeah.
I've worked with large employers that they councils. Who doesn't want to blow up their council? Please, ASIO, if you're listening to this, ASIO, please. This is a
Please don't. No.
attempt at humour. But we had bomb response procedures in place. If someone called up and made a bomb threat, this is what you had to do. I think in a solo practice or a small massage practice, the likelihood of being a target of a prank or an actual is pretty low.
Yeah. I'd say probably there's other things that are a bit more important. Like, if you have employees, then you might want to document how you fold and store your towels, how you set up the room, all of the expectations around cleaning, rebooking procedures, how to do all of that. You might have procedures around what to do if the power goes out, if high caps goes offline. You can document all of those things. And what's a documentation policy, David?
About how you document stuff. It'll be your expectations, say, around clinical notes. Even though it is set out in law, you would then have it as a policy that you're expected to have your notes written within 24 hours, say, of completing your treatment.
I think it's good to have that sort of stuff written down, even if it is just basically you need to have it.
It's a paragraph.
Yeah, a paragraph. And then
paragraph.
You can link then to the actual law later that's there available for people to see if they want or need to.
Documentation policy as required by law. You are required to complete your treatment notes within 24 hours of completing treatment. Full stop.
Yeah. Okay. Basic.
Yeah.
Easy to read.
Yeah.
So then you'll probably also want to have some policies around sick days, so when to stay home, when you might accept staff back at work, depending on what illness they have. And that's something that a lot of businesses have had to deal with over the last few years and change their policies in regards to COVID. And then procedures for client intake so that the expectations of both the business and the client are met. You might have very specific ways of doing client intake. Yeah, that's a lot.
We're getting close to the end. So those are all kind of optional things that some of them are optional, some are recommended. But this last one is a no-brainer. And we've actually done an episode on this just a few weeks ago.
This is a popular episode, David.
It was a popular episode. We actually went through how to write this particular policy in that episode. If you want to have any form of consequences or steps that you need to follow in regards to someone who tries to cancel late or then doesn't attend their appointment, you need a late cancellation and non-attendance policy. You need to document it. It sets an expectation for your clients. If you have staff, they don't have to, feel fearful about calling that client. This is our policy.
It's literal steps that the staff member can take and implement an action and say, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It is the business's policy. It gives you guidance on how to respond consistently if and when it happens. It sets out if and when you will apply a fee and when you will let someone go as a client. And I cannot emphasize just how important this policy is even to a solo practitioner.
It could even be more important for a solo business because we can feel very put on the spot. There's no one else to say, the boss requires this because we are the boss. Mm-hmm. So having that policy and procedure there means you can say, this is how the business runs, even though I'm the boss. This is how the business runs. Yeah. It's almost like having a boss that has set this up. You've just done it yourself.
Correct. You're the boss. It's your business.
It can be really hard to enforce some of that stuff when you are a solo business owner or, if you only have one employee. It's because it's often a really, really personal interaction that you're having.
Confronting.
Yeah. It can be really hard to say, actually, you need to pay me for not showing up today.
And like putting up your fees, we get scared of rejection.
Yes, very much so. And we don't want to upset our clients. We want them to come back.
We do.
Yeah.
Just not the bad ones.
Yeah.
So again, a paragraph is all you need to get started. If you want to make it more complex with more examples, you could do that if you want to. But if you want to enforce a position, you need a damn policy for it. And you need to tell your clients about it. If you've got staff, you need to tell them about it too.
So that's where you're referring to the late cancellation and no-show policy right there. That's that one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, you absolutely need to enforce it. Everyone needs to know about it. And you can literally get, print out sheets or send a link to your clients and if you've just written one up and get them to sign it and say, okay, yes, this is a new policy that's coming in. It starts today and this is what's happening from now on. Yeah.
That's it. 3 policies.
3. I feel like we talked about 100.
It's about 20. Yeah.
All right.
It's not as hard as we think it's going to be.
Well, I would say, because I know you love policies and you've been doing this for a long time, David, in regards to working with policies and procedures, whereas some people, myself included, have not, I'm going to break it down to end the episode. Basically, what we're saying is start somewhere, pick a couple of things, or write down a list of all the policies and procedures you can think of. Start somewhere, create that list, get it out of your head, and then check out the association websites. We'll try and put a few links into the show notes. We'll see what we can come up with.
Yeah. So other those essential policies, when it comes to something like a procedure, if you're the boss person. Every time you go to do something,
if you process something through high caps, that's a procedure. How did you do it?
How did you change the receipt roll? Does it front roll or back roll?
How do you close up shop at the end of the day or open up in the morning? That's a procedure. Yeah, it does sound complicated and I totally get it. I'm feeling quite overwhelmed right now, but it doesn't have to be. Start somewhere, start anywhere, and just gradually move along. Yeah.
We're going to wrap this one up, Jackie.
We are indeed. Thank you. Thank you for talking about this, David, because you know how much I love it.
I get very passionate about it.
You do. You do. I reckon we'll get a little bit of feedback about this episode. So, guys, if you do want to chat with us, we are on the socials. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and you can email us as well. We do have a website.
Know where to start. Send that email.
Yeah.
Send a DM.
Yeah.
Happy to point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, David.